Hi friends, I have a story for you today. It's called Pirate Peet's Giant Adventure. It's a scholastic book and it's by Kim Kennedy. She's the author. All right, Pirate Peet's Giant Adventure. Hoist the sails, shouted Pirate Peet. Wake up, squawked his parrot. You're dreaming again. Peet opened his eye. One eye, because he only has one eye. The parrot was right. They were still adrift at sea in their little rowboat. They were getting nowhere fast, and Peet knew it. Oh, I wish I had a ship, moaned Peet. Why'd I do anything for a ship, he says. Just then, the waves began to shimmer. In a splash of foam, a sea fairy appeared. I'll grant your wish for a ship, she offered, if you go on a special quest. What might that be, little matey? Peet asked. Go to Thunder Island, she said, and find the sea fairy Sapphire. Peet had heard of the sea fairy Sapphire before. It was a magical stone that had been stolen from the sea fairy kingdom. Return the sapphire to the ocean, she instructed, and you will be rewarded with a wondrous ship. Just follow the sound of thunder, said the fairy, but beware, for thunder does not always come from clouds. And then she disappeared. A brisk wind began to blow, and the little rowboats traveled swiftly. Soon, over the sound of the breeze, came the rumbling of thunder. Peet laid a hand to his ear, then checked his spyglass. Land ho! Cried Peet. Thunder Island, straight ahead. They had just come ashore when boom, 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 claps of thunder rolled. 'Tis coming from the other side of the island, said the parrot. So off they marched through the palm trees with Peet banging coconuts and singing. When I finds the series Sapphire, I'll get me a ship of wonder. All I've got to do is follow the sound of thunder. By and by, they came to the heart of the island. What a strange-looking lagoon, they said. And with all this thundering, why doesn't it ever rain? Boom! Another rumble sounded. Peet picked up the pace and cried, When I find the sea fairy Sapphire, I'll get me a ship of wonder. All I've got to do is follow the sound of thunder. Boom, boom! 'Tis getting louder, said the parrot. We must be near. Peet looked through his spyglass. He could see something sparkling on a hill up ahead. I sees it, said Peet. I see the sea fairy Sapphire. Soon they came upon a cave, and Peet stumbled in. He grabbed the glimmering blue jewel. Why, 'twas easy, cried Peet. Quick, throw it into the sea, said the parrot. Then we'll get our ship. Not so fast, said Peet. This here is a magical wishing stone. Let's see what it can do. Peet stared into the glittering stone and commanded, Give me a treasure map to the world's greatest treasures. The stone glowed a bright blue, and in a swirl of sea mist, a map appeared. Peet tucked it into his coat. That's enough, said the parrot. Throw the sapphire into the sea. Another thing, Peet told the stone. I want the world's mightiest sword. The sapphire glowed even brighter, and a splendid sword appeared. That's enough, squawked the parrot. Now throw the sapphire into the sea so we can get our wondrous ship. I think Pirate Peet might be getting a little greedy. All right, grumbled Peet. But as they left the cave, a terrific crash shook the ground. Boom, boom, boom! Peet and his parent looked up, up, up. A giant! The parrot flapped. The thunder has been coming from a giant's big feet, stomping all around the island. Aye, gulped Peet, looking up at the big brute. So he's the scurvy dog with a horn swaggled and the sapphire from the sea. The giant caught a whiff of Peet and snatched him up. I knew I smelled pirate, he bellowed. A stinky pirate. Arr! Not as stinky as you be, growled Peet. Oh, but you're salty too, snarled the giant. Suddenly, he saw the sapphire tucked in Pete's hand. Trying to sneak the sapphire from me, eh? He grumbled. The giant drew Peet even closer so that Peet could smell the stink of old seaweed on his breath. Do you know what I do with sneaky pirates? Nay, said Peet. I yank off their hooks, roared the giant, shaking the ground with his mighty voice. With the giant's fingers he wrapped tightly around him, Peet knew there was no chance for escape, but perhaps he could outsmart him. Oh, let's see if he's a quick thinker. Ye can yank me a hook if you wish, Peet said. Ye can use it to catch a big mackerel fish, but just don't throw me into the sea. The giant blinked, a bit puzzled. What? A pirate? Afraid of the sea? He scratched his head. Forget your hook, the giant decided. I'm going to pull off your peg leg. Ye can pull off my peg leg if you like, said Peet. Ye can use it as a toothpick, but just don't throw me into the sea. I'll use it as a toothpick, all right, snarled the giant. After I eats ye, that is. Ye can eat me if you please, said Peet. You can boil me up in a big pot of pirate stew, but just don't throw me into the sea. Ye really are afraid of that sea, aren't you? Said the giant. He had mischievous eyes. Well then, how about a little swim? Oh. With that, the giant hurled Peet into the sky. Clinging tightly to the sapphire, Peet flew into the clouds and then back down to the sea, where he landed with a great splash. What did Peet want at the beginning? The sapphire to go into the sea so he could get a wondrous ship, right? Quick thinker, that pirate. Suddenly, the waves began to churn and bubble. Then, up from the sea, an amazing ship arose with Pirate Peet aboard. Look. Can you see that? He's in the sea. He got his wondrous ship. He's not with the giant. It was a good thinker, that one. You tricked me, shouted the giant as he plowed into the water and grabbed the ship's anchor. We're doomed, squawked the parrot. He's pulling us in. The sapphire can't save you now, the giant laughed. Ha ha ha. Nay, said Peet, but me mighty sword can. Peet drew the shining sword with his slightest touch. Its gleaming blade cut right through the chain. The ship was set free. Now, for a bit of me own thunder, Peet shouted, Fire cannon! With a tremendous boom, a cannonball shot from the ship, sending a giant fleeing back to the shore. Oh my goodness. Then a mighty wind filled the ship's sails, and off she went, far and away from Thunder Island. The sea fairies had fulfilled their promise indeed. Peet's new vessel was the most wondrous ship to ever sail the high seas. Fine sailing weather, cheered the parrot. Aye, called Peet, unfurling his new treasure map, and with a gleam in his eye, he sang, I found the sea fairy sapphire, and I got a ship of wonder. I'm off again to distant lands where there's a jolly good treasure to plunder. Look at that. And off they sail in their new ship with their treasure map to find all of the new wondrous things in the ocean. And that is the story of Pirate Peet's giant adventure. Thanks for listening. See you later.